Hi, welcome to another TNT, once again coming to you from the Kazakhstan city of Almaty. Around about 2.1 million people live here, and well, let me tell you, this place has really surpassed my expectations. I've only been here really for 1.5 or so days and having a great time. I'm here until the end of the week, so there's plenty more to see. Today I'm up on the top of Koktobi, which is a hill that overlooks the city. Very popular, a lot of sort of carnival things happening here, and very popular with the locals, and well, obviously a bit of a tourist magnet as well. You catch a cable car up to the top here and you just wander around and eat expensive food and expensive drinks. Now today I had the opportunity to visit an amazing old Russian Orthodox church, obviously built a long time ago, and an extraordinary example of some of the artistry for these Russian Orthodox churches. And despite it being a majority Muslim country, it seems to me to be a very, well, liberal version of Islam that they use here. Apart from the church, I also went to this bazaar. It's called the Green Bazaar, and wow, really an amazing range of, well, it's got all the usual market stuff, but then a really spectacular food court. Foods from all over the place, including their local delicacy, horse meat, which I wasn't game to try, but really worth a visit if you come through Almaty at some stage. The people were asking me in the comments section about the public transport here. Well, it's very, very good. There's an underground that I think was built around about, or opened about 10 years ago. I understand it took around about 10 years to build, and it goes really from one end of the city to the other. But beyond that, there's also electric, well, I think you'd call it an electric light rail. There's these scooters that I mentioned yesterday, and the taxis are very, very reliable, very cheap, and there's apps for the different taxi companies. It all seems to work very, very well. But enough about Almaty. Let's have a look at the main news stories from Thailand. And now, down from the mountain, back in the apartment, let's go to the stories. And Thailand unwittingly sort of caught up in an international story yesterday. Flight carrying Julian Assange to stop in Bangkok to refuel. That's from a Thai official. Well, he did land, and the flight will land around 11:50 a.m. yesterday. It was actually a little bit later. It's expected to refuel and resupply with water before departing at 9 p.m. for Saipan Island. Assange is being taken to the US territory to face a judge as part of a plea deal, expected to see him freed and return to his native Australia. We go to calsodenglish.com. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange stops in Bangkok on his way to a US court and later freedom. Well, all this sort of transpired yesterday. This is the latest from Associated Press. WikiLeaks Assange pleads guilty in deal with US that secures his freedom, ends legal fight. The tie doesn't look like it's been worn for a while. Maybe he should have done it up before he fronted the judge. And the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange pleaded guilty to obtaining and publishing US military secrets in a deal with the Justice Department prosecutors that secures his liberty and concludes a drawn-out legal saga that raised divisive questions about press freedom and national security. And obviously there's a lot more background to this story, but I'll leave you to track through that through some of these articles. But this final statement. The plea deal, disclosed Monday night in a sparsely detailed Justice Department letter, represents the latest and presumably final chapter in a court fight involving the eccentric Australian computer expert who's been celebrated by supporters as a transparency crusader but lambasted by national security hawks who insist that his conduct put lives at risk and strayed far beyond the bounds of traditional journalism duties. So Julian Assange, certainly a divisive, very polarising character, and has certainly served time in custody and now heading back to Australia. Now more follow-up to the proposed changes with the foreign use of land, and this from the Bangkok Post. And Satar denies selling off the country. We used to say in Australia, selling off the farm. The Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin on Tuesday dismissed claims by critics that a government proposal to raise the foreign ownership quota in condominiums and offer longer land leases is tantamount to selling off the nation. The Prime Minister said it's about long-term leases, not selling land. It's nothing to do with selling the nation. Now, for Thais, this is a big issue, and any suggestion that they're easing the opportunities for foreigners to have a greater ownership and use of Thai land is usually very political. And the Cabinet last week ordered a study into the proposal to raise the proportion of foreign ownership allowed in condominiums from 49 to 75% and to extend land lease terms for foreigners from 30 to 50 years to 99 years. And one of the caretaker senators wrote on Facebook that the proposals could be considered a possible conflict of interest. He said it would benefit property businesses connected to cabinet ministers, including Mr. Srettha, who headed the developer Sansiri before entering politics. The Thai Prime Minister did sign over all his shares in Sansiri to his wife before he was able to become Prime Minister. I'm sort of not sure if any of this is going to transpire. At the end of the day, it's a very hot potato for the Thai electorate. And, I think the government's got other problems at the moment it needs to face. Speaking of a hot potato, a resolution of sorts to this ongoing and long-running fight between two of the top people in the Royal Thai Police. And Thai PBS World's reporting secret deal or political intrigue, Thailand's feuding top cops reinstated. All smiles there, but obviously not behind the scenes. And that first paragraph, even more puzzling than the country's two top policemen being sidelined simultaneously for alleged corruption, is that both have been reinstated months later as if no damage has been done. In a development that critics call a farce, the National Police Chief, Police General Torsak Sukvimon, and his Deputy Police General Surachat Hakpan have been shifted from suspension in the PM's office back to their posts. Critics say this win-win solution for the feuding top cops is not in the national interest, since it leaves many questions unanswered, especially regarding allegations linking Torsak and Surachat to illegal and lucrative online gambling. And speculation abounds of a secret deal between the conflicting sides, while media have reported rumours that certain political heavyweights are paving the way for Surachat to become the next police chief, in exchange for him helping to boost their party's performance in southern provinces in the next election. Now that's got the ring of truth about it. I just imagine these two walking past each other in the hallway. Don't think many words are going to be spoken. We haven't heard the end of this. It's not over. And Torsak is retiring in October this year. Will Surachat become the next police chief? Well, he may or he may not, but he certainly has had a very colourful career so far. Well, not directly connected with Thailand, but certainly a bit of an interesting aviation story. This emerged yesterday. Korean Air Boeing 737 Max 8 descends 21,000 feet with 13 injured. And according to Taiwan's Taipei Times, Korean Air flight KE-189, which was flying from Seoul to Taichung on Saturday, experienced a fault warning in the pressurisation system, and the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft was above Jeju Island when the pilots detected an issue with the system about 50 minutes into the flight. Now, interestingly, it was a cabin pressurisation warning that preceded that blowout of the door plug on the 737 MAX for Alaska Airlines at the start of this year. And according to Flight Radar 24, the Korean airline jet descended from around 30,000 feet to 9,000 feet within 15 minutes before returning and landing safely at Seoul. Then down the bottom of that paragraph, the tracking data shows no further flights for that aircraft since then. And the flight was carrying 125 passengers. The sudden change in cabin pressure caused health problems that needed treatment when the aircraft returned to Seoul. At least 2 passengers suffered nosebleeds, 15 reported ear pain and hyperventilation. Now, this being a Boeing 737 Max 8 will draw additional attention, and we'll just have to wait and see what Boeing has to say about this issue. At this stage, they've said nothing. But interestingly, it wasn't the only incident over the past few days. And ABC News in Australia reporting Korean Air and Malaysian Airline flights disrupted by pressurisation problems. And separately, Malaysian Airlines said one of its flights en route to Bangkok on Monday made a U-turn back to KL after the Airbus A330 experienced a pressurisation issue. Malaysian Airlines said its pilots initiated an emergency descent even though the aircraft had not reached the altitude of 8,000 feet and oxygen masks were not deployed. And the flight MH780 was carrying 164 passengers and 12 crew members. An investigation is underway. I think the main takeaway from this is that although people were injured, certainly in the Korean Airlines flight, no one died and both the planes landed safely, and I think that's the main thing. We will, of course, be very interested to hear on further reports on both those incidents as we head to the Thai economy and the Bangkok Post. Pickup sales hit by faltering economy, and domestic car sales continued to be a concern, with pure pickup sales plummeting by 40.8% and likely to keep falling. Sales of pickup passenger vehicles plunged by 42% year on year to just 16,255 units. And the Vice Chairman of the FTI says the decrease in pickup sales widely affected the automotive industry and auto parts makers along the supply chain. Usually up to 400,000 pure pickups are sold annually in Thailand. Even during the 1997 financial crash, sales were decent. Now, he says, the situation is getting worse as a result of banks' strict criteria in granting auto loans. Well, as economic indicators go, dropping 42% of anything is fairly dramatic. They're saying it's all about the banks and the strict criteria for loans. I probably think there's a bit more to it. So we will watch the car sales as one of those indicators into the future. So hopefully now you're up to date with some of the main news stories from around Thailand as we say goodbye from Almaty. We're just about to watch the sunset. I'll turn the camera around in just a moment. Please remember to support our sponsors, 5-Star Marine at 5starmarinephuket.com. I think you probably remembered that by now. Also, Beach House Thailand. You can go below in the description and there's links to both those businesses and you can check out the beach houses and see if you'd like to come and stay with us at some stage. But don't come this week though, I'm not there. So thanks for watching and please subscribe to the channel. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.